like to welcome you all to another episode of Market Markup, where basically I break down a ticker from top to bottom and kind of form some hypotheses on what may happen in the future with that price action. My name is Lance. I am the co founder of BH Capital Enterprises, where I teach people how to navigate the markets using price action. So, we all know that as chartists, charts translate into any market. It doesn't matter. A chart is a chart. Um, but what I've been doing specifically for the month of July is putting out a video each and every day of me doing what I usually do on market markup, and that is break down a random ticker. This one is a special request. Etsy, I've never did a complete breakdown of this company. I've never traded it. Disclaimer, I don't hold any positions whatsoever in this company at this time. And also keep in mind that this is not any type of investment advice. This is simply for entertainment purposes. I truly, truly, truly enjoy evaluating charts and following them to see, what happens in the future, to see if I was correct or if I, kind of missed the mark on it. But anyway, let's jump right on into Etsy. Looking at the yearly chart here, obvious bullish trend, but it seems as though for the year 2021, which is this year, it's been struggling a bit. Um, but what I am noticing is that so far, even with that struggle, for now, it's holding above 2020's closing price. And as per usual, I'm just going to mark that 2020 close, which is 177.91. Okay. All right, so we got 2020 closed there. And so what I would be watching for is whether the price can hold above 2020's close or not. That's, and we're over halfway through the year. So that's something that I'd be following on the yearly chart. But I'd also be following just short term as well because it's so close to that 2020 closing level. Um, a fall through that level, the price could head back to maybe like the mid 100s area, possibly. But it also could be entering into a period of consolidation. As you can see, it's been in this markup phase for several years now, and so we may see a little consolidation here. But let's just keep an eye on that. I'm also going to mark this area as well, which represents 2020's high, which is 198.5, it appears. Okay, all right. So let's move on from this yearly chart and see what we discover on a lower time frame, being the monthly this go round. All right, so monthly chart, we see a transition from phase one of the market cycle to phase two here. Little bit of consolidation here, and then it dropped, and generally, in my opinion, would be kind of range bound at this point. Um, for me, I'd mark this. Let's see. Yeah, I'd mark this area on the monthly chart, and for me, this would be considered something like a monthly pivot. You know, call that. And I'm gonna do this here. All right, so as you can see, most of the price action has been happening between that 225 level and that 2020 close level. Of course, we do have a little bit of price action outside of this, but those are more outliers than anything else. But as you can see, the majority of the price action for this year has been between 225 and 177 roughly. So in my opinion, as long as it remains in this area, it's just pretty much consolidating. Now, that's not to say that there's no opportunity in consolidation because there is, but you just have to be really, really, really strategic and on top of your entries and exits when things are range bound, especially. But what I am seeing over the past few months is a series of higher lows and higher highs. So that's something that I would pay attention to. And of course, we're still just in the middle of July, so definitely have some time to go on this one to see, whether this trend line will hold or whether it'll fold. So that's something that I pay attention to for the month of July, which is right around 179, 177. So 2020 closed pretty much. So, but as of now, I'm not necessarily seeing any sort of pattern, so to speak, on this monthly chart. But this is an upside level that I watch here as well. This trend line and this lower trend line are a couple of areas that I would pay attention to. So right here around 207 and then right down here around 177 are a couple of levels that I'd be watching throughout the rest of this month. Um, August appears to be like it may be pretty significant too. So I'd, definitely be following this thing in August to see if, maybe that volatility goes down a little bit, or maybe it breaks out of one of these ranges. Earnings is coming up right at the beginning of August, so more than likely, of course, depending on how the market receives that information, more than likely we'll see some resolution from these two trend lines no later than early August. Um, that's pretty much yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. As far as the monthly chart is concerned. Let's move on to well, I'm gonna just go ahead and mark those. Okay, so we'll say about right here and about right here. Okay, so we'll just call this upside pre-earnings level. I'm just gonna make this orange. Okay, so upside pre-earnings level. That's the level that I watch to the upside. Of course, I'm not going to put another price level here because it pretty much the downside pre-earnings level pretty much lines right up with the 2020 closing price. So I'll just put a little text note here. Downside pre-earnings level is basically close. Okay. All right. So that's it with that one. Now let's move on to the weekly chart. See how this weekly chart is looking. So with the weekly chart, you get a better sense for these two trend lines and how they've been pretty much containing the price action over the past several weeks. I'm just going to extend that one out a little bit, and this one's good. So you can see a bit better where the majority of the price action has been concentrated. um, I can't really say that I'm necessarily seeing a definite pattern, so to speak. Um, but uh, let me see. I'm gonna do a little bit of math here. Give me just a second. Okay, so let's say that the markets receive Etsy's earnings report and forward guidance very well. Um, a potential hypothesis is that if those two scenarios happen, I can definitely see Etsy, well, let me say, coupled with a breakout of this trend line and a breakout of this area here, so this 240s, 250s area, I can see Etsy headed for 300 plus. Of course, it would take several weeks to happen, probably several months as well. But that's a level that I will watch out for. I'll just go ahead and put a price target there so that, it'll be there in the future. So let's see. Potential upside long term. That's what we'll call it. And we'll put it at about 320. No, we'll just start with 300. We will start with 300 and leave it be. Okay. All right. So that one, of course, disappeared because it's not on the screen here. As you can see, the scale only goes to 260. Well, technically 280. All right. So we're gonna remove that. Let's see. Potential downside. Let's say that those scenarios on the flip side don't happen. So they really bomb it on earnings. They do horribly for guidance is horrible. And, institutions decide to take profit or whatever. The markets decide to sell off. I can see this thing going back down to the low 100s probably. So I'll probably just go ahead and mark that area and call this one like potential downside. So that potential downside would be probably post earnings if there's a miss. Okay, so somewhere inside here. Um, I think that's pretty much it when it comes to the weekly chart. Let's check out this daily chart and see what information we can get here. Okay, so we have a small gap. Well, the gap was filled over here, but still there's a small gap here between 183, basically 184, and about 171, so about a 13 point gap. So I would Make note of that area. Um, yeah, I would make note of that area because it's approaching an area of demand after a recent breakout. So short term, there might be some opportunity if it pulls back. If it pulls back into this area, then maybe it holds and bounces as we get closer to earnings. We see the phase three of the market cycle here, and then a markdown here. So phase four and back to phase one, phase two, and now it's in that markdown phase once again. If you're just looking at it in that kind of way, but it seems like maybe there's a possibility of it maintaining this trend here. So actually, I'm just gonna move this up. No, let's change tools. Gonna move this one up a little bit. All right. So move that up a little bit so you can see what I mean a little better. Um, I'm going to do a little rectangle here inside this area just so we know, hey, this thing is approaching an area of demand. And we'll name that. Okay, so we'll call that a demand zone. And of course, I want my thing on top. Just gonna make this white. I always get that wrong. Bottom. All right, there we go. So demand zone represented by this rectangle here. The price could move down inside here, and it could consolidate. It could bounce from here. It could fall through. But I think, in my opinion, this area would be, if I were considering, hey, let me jump in this thing to catch some of that upside premium as it gets closer to earnings, possibly. That would be a nice area that I would consider buying if I were looking to buy. Of course, that's not me saying that, hey, you guys should buy there, but that's just, for me. Um, let's see where okay, so certainly it is, right, as you can see, right inside this demand zone, we have some confluence here with the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average sitting right inside that demand zone. So for me, this can be a stronger signal that this thing will get bought up somewhere inside this area. But just pay attention to that. So the 200 is right at 180.83, and then the 50 is right at 175.57. So definitely be watching this one over the next several days as we get closer and closer to earnings. Seems like their earnings are a little less than 3 weeks out, so probably some opportunity here. Maybe it'll if it if it gets bought up here, maybe it heads toward that 198 200 area before earnings. Um, maybe, but like I said, I don't follow this one on a regular basis, so I'm not real sure at how it historically performs in terms of how much it tends to move as it gets closer to earnings. Um, but it seems like if it does have a good chance of having a pretty nice move um, heading into earnings. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I can say at the moment about Etsy. Again, this is day 14 of my 30-day chart challenge. I'll be definitely paying attention to this one if it doesn't slip my mind because it's not on my regular watch list. But you guys follow along and let me know what you discover. Um, but I wish you guys well in your trading journey. And if you have any questions, let me know. And if you have any tickers that you like for me to check out, definitely let me know. But I'm grateful that you guys stuck around. And share with a friend, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you in the next episode.